The Mamma Mia franchise is a musical duopoly based around the music of ABBA. As we all know, ABBA stands for Annie Frig Lingston, Benny Andersson, Bjorn Ulvaeus, and Agneta Folkskog. They're really bad at naming things. In 1973, ABBA premiered its song Waterloo at the Eurovision Song Contest. The song went on to win the contest and catapulted the band to international fame. From 1973 to 1982, ABBA released 8 albums, additional compilation albums, along with 9 UK singles, and toured internationally nonstop. But when the world needed them most, they vanished. I'm just kidding, the two couples got divorced and the band broke up. Our story picks up in the mid-90s when Judy Kramer pitched Mamma Mia, a musical inspired by the music of ABBA. Katherine Johnson was hired to write the musical, while Felita Lloyd was hired to direct it. The three women premiered the musical in around, I think, 1995, and it went on until 2001. In 2005, Universal bought the film rights, and in 2008, a film adaptation was released, which we all know and love as Mamma Mia, the movie. The film made $600 million in its original box office run. The 2008 movie, I think, has some of the best casting decisions of all time. Okay, because Amanda Seyfried as Sophie, perfect, right? Meryl Streep as Donna is fucking incredible. And then also the dads, Pierce Brosnan, Colin Firth, Stellan Skarsgård, unbeatable dads, especially because it was in the early 2000s, so they were at like the top of their games. And then, of course, you have Julie Walters and Christine Baranski as like the dynamos. But 10 years after the 2008 movie, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again was released in theaters. Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is both a sequel and a prequel. And the reason for that is Meryl Streep didn't want to reprise her roles because Meryl Streep doesn't do sequels. So what they did was part of the movie is a prequel where Lily James plays young Donna, and her plotline involves her meeting all the 3 dads, banging them, and then getting pregnant with Sophie. And then Sophie's plotline is after Donna dies off screen, she reopens the hotel and just everybody's having a great time. The film made $400 million at the box office. Also, Cher's in it, and she sings Fernando, and it's the best part of the movie. So, like, is Mamma Mia 3 really gonna happen? And according to Judy Kramer, yes, it is. Judy Kramer confirmed in 2025 that a script has been completed. But as early as 2020, Judy Kramer was talking about doing a 3rd movie. In 2024, Amanda Seyfried and Christine Baranski both said they would be open to reprising their roles. And in that same interview, Amanda Seyfried said she would love it if Sabrina Carpenter would play her daughter. We're going to put a pin in that because Amanda Seyfried has a son in the 2nd movie. But as of May 2025, Judy Kramer confirmed there is a script completed for Mamma Mia 3. Which means it's going to happen soon, right? Depending on how schedules line up with all the actors and depending on who's reprising the roles, they're going to have to film it soon. Sometime within the next year, they're going to have to start filming, or at least principal photography is going to have to happen. If a 3rd movie is confirmed, that begs the question, which songs will they use? And to answer that, we have to first look at what songs they've already used. In order of appearance, the following songs are Mamma Mia 1. I Have a Dream, Prologue, Honey Honey, Money Money Money, Mamma Mia, Chiquita, Dancing Queen, Our Last Summer, Lay All Your Love on Me, Super Trooper, Gimme Gimme Gimme, A Man After Midnight, Voulez-Vous, SOS, Does Your Mother Know, Slipping Through My Fingers, The Winner Takes It All, I Do, I Do, I Do, I Do, I Do. When All Is Said and Done, Take a Chance on Me, Mamma Mia, reprise, I Have a Dream, Dancing Queen, reprise, Waterloo, Thank You for the Music. The official soundtrack looks a little different, and you can probably tell why. So we have 3 repeats in this first movie. I Have a Dream, Mamma Mia, and Dancing Queen all have reprises. In the case of Waterloo and Dancing Queen reprise, these songs actually play during the credits, and the cast are singing the songs as the credits roll. For that reason, I'm not including them in our official count of the first movie. Now, I Do 5 Times is only a short musical number where Pierce Brosnan's character sings the first verse and the chorus. For that reason, it wasn't included in the official soundtrack. Name of the Game is also included in the soundtrack, but Name of the Game was from a deleted scene that they cut for time. Chiquita does have a musical number, but it's actually owned by UNICEF, who did not allow it to be included in the official soundtrack for streaming purposes. Thank You for the Music is a bonus track that Amanda Seyfried recorded as part of the soundtrack. This was really, originally, this was only for purchase, but I believe now you can just stream it. So I think we can say with confidence we have 18 songs that were used in the narrative of Mamma Mia, plus we have the additional bonus track, Thank You for the Music, for a total of 19 songs. Okay, so how many songs are in Mamma Mia 2? I mean, it must be around 18 or 19, right? And plus, they're all original. No, they used 4 repeats for the Mamma Mia 2 soundtrack. I Have a Dream, Super Trooper, Mamma Mia, and Dancing Queen are all used in both movies. I'm not including Waterloo because Waterloo was included in the encore, and Name of the Game was deleted from the original Mamma Mia movie. So really they used 6, but who's counting? So the songs in Mamma Mia 2, Here We Go Again, are When I Kissed the Teacher, I Wonder Departure, One of Us, Waterloo, Why Did It Have to Be Me, I Have a Dream, Kisses of Fire, Adante Adante, The Name of the Game, Knowing Me, Knowing You, Angel's Eyes, Mamma Mia, Dancing Queen, I've Been Waiting for You, Fernando, My Love, My Life, Super Trooper, The Day Before You Came. Now, once again, The Day Before You Came is a bonus track. This time it's recorded by Meryl Streep, and it was included in the soundtrack. So if we take the songs from Mamma Mia 1 and Mamma Mia 2 and we subtract the 4 repeats, we have a total of 33 songs that they used from ABBA in these 2 movies. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, well, they'll just use the other hit songs. There are no other hit songs. From 1973 to 1982, ABBA had 26 singles that charted in the UK. Of those 26, 22 of them were in the top 50. Of those 22, 19 of them were in the top 10, and 9 of those were top number 1 hits in the UK. How many of these singles are in the Mamma Mia films? All of them. Of the 19 songs used in the original Mamma Mia, 17 of them were singles, 15 charted in the top 75, 13 of them were in the top 10, and 5 were number 1 hits. These include Mamma Mia, Dancing Queen, Super Trooper, The Winner Takes It All, and Take a Chance on Me. If we look at Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, we can already eliminate 4 because they were included in our count for Mamma Mia 1. So we have 14 songs, 8 of which were singles, 7 of which charted top 75, 6 of which were top 10, and 4 of them were number 1 hits. These were Waterloo, Fernando, Knowing Me, Knowing You, and The Name of the Game. And you know what? If you want to be an asshole, if you include the repeated songs, Mamma Mia, Dancing Queen, and Super Trooper, there are 7 number 1 hits in Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Out of the 33 songs that we have used, only 8 of them were not released as singles, which means we haven't even scratched the surface of ABBA's deep cuts. They had so many hits, you were able to make 2 musicals out of them. Like, yeah, you had to repeat 4 of the songs, but there was enough that you could just create a narrative around the songs. That's insane. This also means we have 8 songs that weren't singles. They are Our Last Summer, Slipping Through My Fingers, When I Kissed the Teacher, Why Did It Have to Be Me, Kisses of Fire, Adante Adante, My Love, My Life, I Wonder Departure. Okay, what about singles they didn't use? Were there any singles released in the UK that didn't make it onto these soundtracks? And yes, there's 5. Ring Ring, So Long, Summer Night City, Head Over Heels, and Under Attack. Of these singles, Summer Night City was the only one to be in the top 10, reaching number 5. Head Over Heels reached number 25, and Under Attack reached number 26. I think these are like the most likely candidates for Mamma Mia 3. While they weren't as popular as some of the other songs, Summer Night City was a top 10, and the other 2 were top 30. If we look at Ring Ring, the song was actually re-released as a single in the UK after the success of Waterloo, and it reached 32 on the charts. So Long reached number 91 in the UK. I'm focusing on the UK, in part because Judy Kramer's from the UK and she's obviously going to use songs that she resonates with. However, the songs that did well in the UK, they did well in other countries. They just never reached the same height as they did in the UK. The UK was their most successful market. Do I think that means does that rule out using other singles that weren't released in the UK? No, I don't think so. But I think it's unlikely that we're going to get Hasta Mañana or the King Kong song in a movie. I want to briefly talk about the West End play. Mamma Mia 1 is a pretty faithful 1-to-1 adaptation with one exception. Under Attack was cut from Act Two. So in the West End play, Under Attack is the opening number of Act Two, where Sophie dreams she's walking down the aisle, and all three of the potential father figures have a fight and they ruin the wedding. The song is kind of a fucking banger, and it actually kind of sucks that they cut it, but I understand why they cut that one since it was in a dream sequence. That being said, this was one of the only singles that charted in the UK that they haven't used. So Under Attack is almost a given for being in Mamma Mia 3. Most of you probably only know the songs from Mamma Mia and Mamma Mia 2. I'm going to tell you to pause this video, listen to 8 ABBA albums, and then come back when you're ready. Okay, great. From 1972 to 1981, ABBA released 8 studio albums. These albums are Ring Ring, Waterloo, ABBA, Arrival, ABBA the Album. They're not good at naming things, and this album is typically referred to as the album within fan spaces, Voulez-Vous, Super Trooper, and The Visitors. Now, a couple of these albums were later re-released with deluxe versions, and in between these albums, ABBA also released several compilation albums of their greatest hits. They've also released multiple language covers of their own songs, including the compilation album Gracias por la Música, which is several of their biggest hits in Spanish. In 1982, ABBA released The Singles, The First 10 Years, their final compilation album before going on a permanent hiatus. This album included 2 new singles, The Day Before You Came and Under Attack. So, which albums are represented in the soundtracks? Well, Waterloo has 2, ABBA has 4, Arrival has 7, ABBA the Album has 4, Voulez-Vous has 7, Super Trooper has 5, The Visitors have 3, and 1 song off singles The First 10 Years. They've actually done a pretty good job of representing each album. However, you may have noticed only 7 of the albums have been represented. They're not including Ring Ring. Ring Ring is their debut album. In general, this album didn't have a wide release outside of Sweden until Waterloo. In fact, the song Ring Ring was re-released in the UK after the success of Waterloo. Ring Ring is also probably the most musically different from the albums. It doesn't really have that kind of disco yet. It's a little bit more acoustic before they kind of started to experiment. However, as someone with Stockholm Syndrome for ABBA, I do really like this album. Yeah, I can just name all the singles they've released and I can name the albums, but like, how are they going to use those in Mamma Mia 3? And I think the answer to that lies in like how they contextualize the song. So, for example, in the first movie, Honey Honey is recontextualized to be Sophie reading her mother's diary and she's singing the lyrics, and it's actually Donna's words to describe the men that she's been having sex with. Um, or like Our Last Summer is Sophie hanging out with Bill, Sam, and Harry, and it's them describing like their young lives and them growing up. And then Sophie has her lyrics where she sings, and now you're working in a bank, a family man, a football fan, and your name is Harry. And it's obviously referring to Harry, the character. And then there's another song, Lay All Your Love on Me, which is like, this single is about the passion and like laying it all down for someone and bearing your heart for them. And in the movie's context, it's about 2 attractive people in their bathing suits. It's the best part of the movie. Here We Go Again does the opposite of that, where they recontextualize the movie to fit the songs they're using. Why does Donna sing When I Kissed My Teacher at her graduation? Donna, if that's true, you're a victim. Like, this isn't good. Like, do you see the issue with that? In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Judy Kramer originally envisioned using Super Trooper as the opener to Mamma Mia 2. The reason they decided not to was they thought having a repeated song as the beginning was like set the wrong expectations, right? By having like a new song, you kind of don't expect you're not sure what to expect. And so there's some excitement. And then when they reserve the big moments for the repeated songs, they hit a lot better. Why do they sing Waterloo? Oh, it's because they're at a Napoleon themed restaurant. This is like the level of writing that they were incorporating for Here We Go Again, and it's fucking funny. Like, it's good. I really enjoyed it. It might sound like I'm criticizing it, but no, that's like a great way to write a second musical when you're out of ideas. There's a third song that's extremely literal in the context of Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. So throughout the entire movie, there's this gag of this guy who's kind of just unnamed and he doesn't really talk, but everybody keeps running into him and commenting about how mysterious and attractive he is. And then at the end of the movie, Cher comes in and she sees him and she starts singing Fernando because his name is Fernando and he's her long lost love. It's the best part of the movie. Like I think with the way they approached Mamma Mia 2, I think it's safe to say that like if you kind of guess what songs you can use, you can write the plot of a movie from that. And this leads into the next section. What songs are they going to use? As I've stated before, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again reused 4 songs, right? Mamma Mia, Super Trooper, Dancing Queen, and I Have a Dream. Of those 4, I Have a Dream is, I think, the most valid reuse. I Have a Dream in the original movie is sung by Amanda Seyfried at the very beginning and also at the very end. And in this one, they have like a young Donna played by Lily James singing it. And I think it's like a nice kind of sentimental callback. And because we didn't see like a dedicated like musical number to this song, I think that's like a good way to spin it into this one. Now, Mamma Mia is the title track for both movies, so it has to be in here somewhere. Like I can't even fathom I can't fathom like a musical biopic having a song title and then like not including that song in it, right? Like imagine if you watched Bohemian Rhapsody and they didn't write Bohemian Rhapsody in that song. Or like imagine the movie Yesterday and he doesn't sing Yesterday. Like it would just be fucking stupid. It would be a ridiculous thing to ask the audience to be like, here's a movie called Mamma Mia. We are not going to sing the song. In the context of the first movie, Dancing Queen is like played as like a pump up song for Donna. I'm not even telling jokes in this video. I'm just giving you facts and I'm cracking myself up. So then in the second one, Dancing Queen is just kind of sung when Amanda Seyfried and her friends see that people are arriving at the hotel. Um, and that's okay. Like that's fine. Super Trooper is really interesting because Super Trooper is Donna and the Dynamo's song. So in the original movie, Donna and the Dynamos sing Super Trooper to Sophie at a bachelorette party. And then in the sequel, after they've processed the death of Donna, Ruby begins singing Super Trooper with Amanda Seyfried, and then also all their younger selves peer up. We don't have time to talk about that, but that's super interesting. Again, I'm telling you just straight facts about 2 movies, and I'm having a blast talking about it. Gonna go off on a tangent right now. Cher has a whole like companion album to Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which I found out like only a couple weeks ago while writing this script. It's fucking incredible. Her cover of One of Us, hauntingly beautiful. I'm gonna say there's gonna be 4 repeats in the Mamma Mia 3 movie. And I think the reason for that is obvious. There's just not enough like big musical numbers that they can do with like the remaining songs. Like, do I think they're gonna sing Hasta Manana or like the King Kong song or Dum Dum Diddle? I mean, I hope so. Like, the movie could be 4 hours and I would be having a blast, but would you be? No. So I think they're gonna use Mamma Mia for sure. I think they will also use Dancing Queen. Not to say that Dancing Queen is the most iconic number, but I think that's a very recognizable song from it, and I think they kind of have to use it. Like obviously, I think "Lay All Your Love on Me" is a more famous and rewatched scene, but like I think you can't come close to touching that. Controversially, I don't think they're gonna do Super Trooper again. I think because I think they have to use Super Trooper or Dancing Queen, and I think they're going to go with Dancing Queen. Um, and I think they'll have to do a different song for Super Trooper. I think Slipping Through My Finger is going to be a repeated song on the Mamma Mia 3 soundtrack. And the reason for that is because Sophie is now a mother, that gives us a lot more like storylines to use some of these songs in like different contexts, right? Like in the first one, they had to work them all to be about love songs, and there's a lot of ABBA love songs, but like there's also a lot about like being old and like reflecting on your life and kind of being sad about like missed opportunities. Having Sophie be older, she can now sing these songs that are more reflective of herself. And I think Slipping Through My Fingers is a good one for that because I think Slipping Through My Fingers would be a good callback for her to sing it to her child to sing a lyric, and then like even maybe the ghost of Donna is in that scene also like singing that song. I think the final song they reuse is Thank You for the Music. I think there's a bit of a gray area since this was included as a bonus track, But I think this segues into my next section. Obviously, the West End play and the 2008 movie are named after the song Mamma Mia. And that's a perfect song to use because Mamma Mia like literally means like my mother in like Italian. And it also means like in the context of the movie and the narrative is like yes, like Sophie's mother Donna, right? It is about the movie at its heart is about Sophie and Donna's relationship. Okay? And it's also becomes funny because she's singing about my mother, but she doesn't know who her father is, right? There's three guys there and they're actually not important in the story, right? The story is Donna and Sophie. So then when they made the sequel, they called it Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which is just the next line in the chorus, right? The chorus goes, Mamma Mia, here we go again. My, how can I forget you? That's so fucking clever, right? Because it's also like a cheeky nod to just doing like a legacy sequel, right? Where it's like, Mamma Mia, here we go again. But it's also like, Mamma Mia, here we go again. Do you get it? Do you fucking get it? The obvious scenario here is to just call the next movie Mamma Mia and then like the song they're another song they're using, right? So in 2020, when Judy Kramer was asked about the third Mamma Mia movie, she also mentioned she wanted to do a TV show. And I know what you're thinking. Well, how could you make that into a TV show? Allow me to introduce you to Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream. This is a 2023 miniseries where singers competed to be on the West End revival of the Mamma Mia play. The winners were Stevie Dock and Tobias Turley, and they won and they are currently Sophie and Sky in on the West End play. So I think there's like some precedent for naming the movie Mamma Mia, Thank You for the Music, or Mamma Mia, some other song title. I don't think they can do Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream. I think that would work. Obviously, that works as a title because that's what they're using, but it works better as like a contest where people are competing for like their actual dream. So I think with that context, I think it's likely that it's going to be Mamma Mia, Thank You for the Music. And I think this works for like a number of reasons. So obviously the title is another play on words where it's like my mother, thank you for the music, right? Like they are literally thanking Donna for the music. They are also thanking ABBA for like their contribution to musical history. And I think in like the context of that too is I don't think it's likely that there's going to be a biopic about ABBA like anytime soon because like Universal has the rights to the music. They're just going to make another Mamma Mia movie instead, right? And so I think this is a good like capstone for ABBA's legacy. I think this is like an obvious title to use because Thank You for the Music has a lot of thematic context for ABBA. So it's the name of a number of compilation albums, right? There's one in English called Thank You for the Music, and then obviously we have Gracia por la Musica. And it's also like the name of like a short documentary film they released about themselves while making one of their while making their albums. I think this is just the obvious way to go for. So if they're not using this, then like they threw it out already. Like I would kind of be surprised if it's anything else, to be honest. I could see Mamma Mia Dancing Queen, although I think that would be kind of a bad title just because of how like recognizable those are. I think having like pairing up Mamma Mia with like a slightly less recognizable song is a smarter move than doing like Mamma Mia Super Trooper. Do you remember when I said ABBA's only released 8 albums over the course of 10 years? I lied. ABBA released another album called Voyage in 2021, and it's delightful. 10 tracks, a good mix of like up tempo, kind of discotheque, and then like some nice slow ballads with the ladies singing. It's a great album. You got to listen to it. I think like of those, there's a couple that could definitely make it. Don't Shut Me Down and I Still Have Faith in You were obviously like the bigger hits from that album, but I think Keep an Eye on Dan or Just a Notion could also be strong contenders for the movie. There's a slight issue in the sense that there's a rumor that Benny Andersson and Bjorn Ulvaeus don't want to use these songs in Mamma Mia franchise. I haven't actually found like an article where they explicitly say that. I think the issue is that Universal doesn't have the rights to this album like it has the rights to the other ones. So I think it would really just have to be another contract that they would have to work out to include this in. Now, maybe they do and maybe they don't, but I'm thinking though, in any case, I'm thinking in any case, Voyage will be used very sparsely compared to the other 8 albums. So who's gonna be in Mamma Mia 3? Right. So Judy Kramer has hinted that Meryl Streep is interested in reprising Donna, which would mean Donna's like a ghost again in this movie. And I'm not complaining about that. That's fucking hilarious. Most recently, in the September 2025 Toronto's Film Festival, Amanda Seyfried said that she would love to return. She didn't say that she is confirmed to return, but she said she would love to return to Mamma Mia. I think that's really important context because I think that means they haven't figured out their schedule yet. Obviously, I'm making this section because people want to know if Sabrina Carpenter is going to be in Mamma Mia 3. And the reason for that there's been a fan push to have Sabrina Carpenter in Mamma Mia franchise. And a big reason for that is during her short and sweet tour as part of the encore, she comes out with like her background dancers and they do like a little fun segment where they spin the bottle and where it lands, they play like a song. Most frequently, it's landed on a spot where she starts playing Mamma Mia. Although after consulting like the Reddit, it's likely that she just plays Mamma Mia whenever she wants to, and that sometimes wherever it lands doesn't really matter, right? She's just playing the song that she wants to sing. Recently, Amanda Seyfried commented on that to ABC News. You're right. Actually, it doesn't matter. You know what? Old age makeup for me, that's what it'll be. I'm an actor. I'll do it. If Sabrina Carpenter wants to play my daughter, I'll make it happen. It's fine. I'm a big fan. Now, when asked about Sabrina Carpenter, Judy Kramer had something different to say. She could be a goddess or some relation who looks very much like Meryl Streep. So Amanda Seyfried is saying, "Oh, she could play my daughter. I'll make it happen." But like Amanda Seyfried, she doesn't have the pull here, right? She wasn't involved with Mamma Mia on the ground floor. She's just the actress. She's just the face. Judy Kramer's pulling the strings. And I think the fact that Judy Kramer is not like open to that leads me to believe that like Sabrina Carpenter would not play Sophie's daughter. There's obviously an issue with having Sabrina Carpenter play Sophie's daughter. Sophie doesn't have a daughter. Sophie has a son. His name is Donnie. He's named after Donna. Do I think they would retcon it so that Sophie's always had a daughter? I'm actually going to say no. And I think the reason for that is because Judy Kramer has always hinted at like a third Mamma Mia movie. I think in her mind, having the son is intentional or at least going to come up in some sort of way with Sophie and Sky. I want to talk about Donnie because it's weird that she has a son at the end of Mamma Mia. Here we go again. It's weird that it's not another girl because the Mamma Mia franchise is a mother-daughter franchise more than anything else, right? It is about, your mother's sex life and you finding your place in it. Sophie's arc leads me to believe that she should have like a daughter, but yet she has a son, and I guess like they did that on purpose, right? Like, why does she have a son instead of a daughter? What is her connection going to be to Donnie in like the third movie? I think if they add a cast member, I think Sabrina Carpenter is like the logical choice, but I don't think she's going to be a daughter. I think the most natural way to include Sabrina Carpenter in the story would be for her to be a guest at the hotel, and like kind of like a Fernando situation where you see her a lot during the movie and then she gets a big musical number. I think that's like the best way to do it. All right. So a funny thing happened after I finished recording this video. Sabrina Carpenter hosted SNL, and for Halloween, she and a performer on SNL, Veronica Slowikowska, wore the iconic cat shirt dresses. Sabrina is wearing Agnetha's blue cat, and Veronica is wearing Frida's yellow cat. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, these dresses were worn on ABBA's television debut on a show called Made in Sweden for Export. This was a Swedish show that broadcast in Europe, showcasing local Swedish music. This was also one of the first appearances by ABBA following their win at the Eurovision Song Contest in 1973, and they then wore these dresses on their first European tour. In the comments, Sabrina commented the entire lyrics of The Winner Takes It All, which is obviously a #1 hit song, and it's sung by Agnetha. Do I think this means Sabrina is in Mamma Mia 3? I'm going to say more than likely. Let me just go over some facts real quick. The North American leg of the Short and Sweet Tour is scheduled to end in November 23rd in Los Angeles. There's a few additional appearances scheduled in March 2026 in South America, and Sabrina is scheduled to headline Coachella in April 2026. If we assume the script was finalized this year, then they're at the beginning stages of pre-productions. Production probably wouldn't start until at the very earliest midway 2026, which would mean Sabrina would be available assuming she doesn't have any other projects in development or on the side. I do think, though, this would obviously mean that she's interested in being in Mamma Mia 3. Here is my list of songs that will be in Mamma Mia 3. These aren't in order of appearance, these are in order of release date with the repeats at the beginning. So we have Mamma Mia, Dancing Queen, Slipping Through My Fingers, Thank You for the Music. Then I think we'll go People Need Love, Dance When the Music Still Goes On, That's Me, Move On, As Good as New, If It Wasn't for the Nights, Lovers Live a Little Longer, Summer Night City, Me and I, On and On and On, The Visitors, Head Over Heels, Under Attack, Don't Shut Me Down, and the bonus track will be I Still Have Faith in You. Not including the repeats, we would have one song from Ring Ring, one song from Waterloo, one song from Arrival, one from ABBA the album, four songs from Voulez-Vous, two songs from Super Trooper, two from The Visitors, one from ABBA the first 10 years, and two from Voyage. So the only album not represented is ABBA, the self-titled one, right? The problem with this album is that we've already used the hits from it, and the remaining hit, So Long, is a breakup song, and I think it's still the most likely song to make it onto the into the musical. The problem is it doesn't really. Are we really going to have like Julie Walters and Stellan Skarsgård's characters break up again? I don't think so. I don't think that's like a very good use of the time. So I think this is the album that's going to take the hit and not get represented. Now, if this list is correct, in total, we would have 48 songs used in all three movies, spread across 9 albums, with the most songs coming from Voulez-Vous and Arrival. The bonus track is always like a slower ballad. I think I Still Have Faith in You is very similar to Thank You for the Music and Departure. I think you could easily fit in this to the narrative, but I think it's much more likely as just the bonus track. I've also tried to like accommodate which ones are like slower songs. So obviously we have Slipping Through My Fingers and Thank You for the Music. But then like People Need Love isn't exactly like a fast song, and it's actually a kind of like very simple. It's musically it's a very simple song that I think Pierce Brosnan could easily sing. Sorry, Pierce Brosnan. I think Dance is also a similar boat where, yeah, it's kind of faster, but like the message is very simple and musically it's simple. So I think that would be another kind of good ensemble one, maybe more as like a transition. Then you get into like Arrival and the Voulez-Vous songs, and those ones are all kind of very fast. And those I could easily envision like big musical numbers for those. I'm not married to this list, and I know the title of this video is like I predicted which songs are going to be in Mamma Mia 3. I could easily see them including Gimme, 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 A Man After Midnight. And the reason for that was a couple years ago, it was big on TikTok, but I wonder like who even still remembers that. Um, every once in a while, songs from ABBA trends on TikTok. I think Angel Eyes trended. So I could see either of those two being incorporated somehow. But I don't, but I also think they're going to want to try and get like a good spread from the discography. This list also includes 3 singles which charted in the UK but weren't included on either of the first 2 movie soundtracks. So we have Under Attack, Head Over Heels, and Summer Night City. Now, these aren't the only singles that charted, but the problem with Ring Ring and So Long is that So Long is a breakup song, and Ring Ring is like a very, I think it's kind of outdated with like our modern usage of phones. Like Ring Ring is kind of like waiting from the phone for somebody to call you. And I think that like where we are in our characters' relationships, I don't think they're really doing that. I could see maybe like Donnie singing Ring Ring, but I don't think it's gonna. I think that's kind of a far out one. And I think Move On is much more likely to be used in Donnie's storyline. Okay, so this next part of the video is kind of where I go off my rocker and I'm going to describe to you what I think the plot of Mamma Mia 3 is going to be. I already gave you the list of songs that I think we can use, and I'm going to plug in a couple of them.
I don't have the full list down, which I know is kind of a letdown for this video, but I think like it's kind of easy to see where I'm coming from. I think the opening plot line of this movie is that Sophie and Sky are running the hotel and it's going really well and it's really busy. And then, but the issue with that is they're kind of burned out and they don't know if they want to do it. And I think that's like the big plot line of the movie is like Sophie and Sky trying to figure out if they want to do this for like the rest of their lives. And how does Sophie honor like the memory of her mother? So with that in mind, I think like the opening song could be like The Visitors. If you look at like Genius lyrics, The Visitors is about somebody who is like afraid that like the secret police are going to get him. And it's about like people are knocking at his door. He can't fall asleep. He's too paranoid. And I think you could conceivably rework that song to be in the context of this like there's too many guests in the hotel and they're just sick of them. I think this also then leads into like the next song that you could play, which would be If It Wasn't for the Nights. If It Wasn't for the Nights is textually about how you fill up your days to forget about someone, but then at nighttime you have nothing else to do. So in bed, you're thinking about this person nonstop. I think if in this context, you could turn the lyrics around so it's like, our days are really busy, but if it wasn't, and if it wasn't for the nights, I would never see you. So like their only alone time is right before they go to bed. And so it's kind of like a yearning for like more fulfillment out of their lives. I'm gonna sound insane when I tell you this next plot line, but in Love Actually, Liam Neeson's plot line is that he's helping his son like ask out a girl in his class. And so I think what's gonna happen is that like the adults are gonna help Donnie like ask out like a girl on the island. And I think it'll go badly. And I think they'll sing like a song to like soothe them over. And I think the perfect song would be like Move On. Like a river and the ocean, life is motion is like literally a lyric from that song. And I think it's just about like not letting things bother you that much and like keep moving on, right? Like it's a very literal song. And I think this would be a perfectly cute song for like Julie Walters and Christine Baranski to like take them on the beach. They're watching the waves, they're playing in the water, and they're like singing the song. I think also, and then like at the conclusion of this arc, they'll sing like Lovers Live a Little Longer after Donnie like successfully asks out this girl. I think also the movie will start with all the characters on the island. At the end of Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, they all arrive back to open up the hotel. And so I think a plot line for this will be they're all at the hotel helping out and they're all kind of burned out. And so I think a good way to illustrate this would also be to have under attack play when maybe one of the dads gives Sophie like unsolicited advice and then she sings like under attack and it's like these fucking men in my lives are just kind of talking over me and I'm sick of it. I think that would be a good callback to like the original usage of Under Attack in the West End play. I think they'll do a flashback to when Donna's alive, and I think she'll sing a song with Sophie in that flashback. I also think Donna's ghost will come back and she'll sing another song with like Sophie and Ruby. And I think the song that they'll sing together is Thank You for the Music. I've already spoken about like what Thank You for the Music would mean in the context of like ABBA, but I also think like singing, having a character sing "Thank You for the Music" to share adds like another level of like meta to it, and I think that would be like kind of on brand for the Mamma Mia franchise because it's like thank you, Cher, for the music. Do you see like how I'm incorporating like Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again's like logic for these songs? Like you have these songs that are very literal. And so we're just gonna kind of have to roll with it. In Mamma Mia 1, Pierce Brosnan sings on three songs, right? He sings Our Last Summer, SOS, and When All Was Said and Done. In the second movie, Judy Kramer learned her lesson and took away all of Pierce Brosnan's songs. I'm proposing we give him one back, but it's like Dance While the Music Is Still Going On or like People Need Love. Those are within his vocal range, is what I'm gonna say. I don't think he's gonna get a great song to sing. Um, I don't think Colin Firth and like Stellan Skarsgård are going to be that utilized. I think they'll just be singing backup. I don't think they're going to get their own like solos. I think Sophie and Sky get the duet as good as new. As good as new is like a love song about people that have been together for a long time, but their love is still fresh. It's as good as new. So I don't know what Sabrina Carpenter's role in this movie is going to be, but I don't think she's going to play the daughter. I think like a logical way to incorporate her would be to have her as like a guest at the hotel, and she just kind of gets mixed up into the drama. Now, before I assign a song for Sabrina Carpenter, I should clarify I don't know a lot about like vocal range, vocal types, singing in general. I just like ABBA songs. What I want from Sabrina Carpenter in the Mamma Mia movie would be like something that's a lot of energy, something that's like fun to sing, like kind of cheeky lyrics, and also something that like she can sing by herself and like carry most of the song without someone else like interrupting her. Like obviously I would love for her to sing with like Cher and like Amanda Seyfried, but I think like it would be really nice if she just got to sing like her own song. So I think a good choice might be On and On and On, Me and I, or I think my personal favorite would be like Head Over Heels. I think that one sounds. I think that would just be like right up her alley for like the character she plays like on stage. Um, if we look at Sophie's arc for Mamma Mia 1, she wants to get married because she doesn't want to be like her mother who raised her by herself and like doesn't know who her father is, right? There's like some resentment to her. Then at the end of that movie, she embraces her mother like fully, like faults and all, and she decides like not to rush into a marriage and she goes to travel with Sky. Now in the second one, Donna dies, and so Sophie decides to carry on her legacy by reopening the hotel. And like because she's pregnant at the island, she's never felt closer to her mom despite her mom being dead. And then at the end of the movie, everybody is able to arrive at the island and like join in as a family as Sophie takes over like the matriarch role of the family. The arc in Mamma Mia 3 is going to be Sky and Sophie deciding like should we stay on the island, should we leave, like how do we honor how do we honor Donna while also like while also like embracing Donnie's future. And I think that's like the lesson she has to learn. So the ending of the movie is, I think, Sky, Sophie, and Donnie leaving the island as all their friends like wave goodbye to them, and then like knowing that like it's okay to like chase a different dream or like to change your circumstances, and that they'll always have the island like to go back to. Right, the hotel is still owned by them, um, but for right now, it was good while it lasted. In like the in Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, Super Trooper is like the last song they sing, and they all kind of sing it together, even though technically Cher's singing most of it. I think what they'll do something similar where the whole cast will sing a song, but I think it'll be Dancing Queen. And I think Dancing Queen is like a good kind of send off for the whole series. Look, now obviously a lot of that was speculation. A lot of that is like my own fever dream from listening to nothing but ABBA for a couple weeks, couple months, maybe like half the year. What's the point of this video, right? Like, because how many of us were kids that like our parents took us to see Mamma Mia and we loved the soundtrack because the cast was having a fun time singing them, right? Because the cast that sang them were good. And then how many of us went to see the sequel 10 years later and had no idea what the song When I Kissed My Teacher was, and we were like, this is also a banger song. So like even though there are no like hits left for ABBA, I think like no matter what songs they pick, we're gonna find a way to like enjoy them. But I also think that like if we kind of start pre-gaming the movie now, the songs will only be more enjoyable. I think that the Mamma Mia soundtracks are really good, and I think if you like them more than the original ABBA songs, I think that's a very valid interpretation. I also think it's equally as good to just like ABBA's music. Yes, it's corny, it's cliche, but it's so fucking sincere, and I love that shit. when ABBA, when Mamma Mia 3 comes out, I'm gonna see it day one. Thanks for watching.